It was July 2017 when I found out that I was going to be a mom. A little over 5.5 months is when I told my doctor that my daughter wasn't being very, very active. Like, I don't feel her kick or anything. So when we went and did an ultrasound, that's when they noticed that my daughter had a lump growing from the bottom of her spine. They gave me the option to terminate pregnancy when I was 26 weeks. I decided to let her fight for herself. We did an emergency C-section. You could barely see her back, and you can see her bottom because the tumor was so filled with blood. I wasn't able to touch her, I wasn't able to hold her. It was heartbreaking. The tumor ruptured and it was bleeding. So at that point, they told me that there was nothing that they could do, that it was time to say goodbye. And then suddenly it stopped bleeding, so they took her into surgery the next morning. We talked about chemotherapy. They told me a bunch of outcomes, that she would never walk, that she would never have control of her bowel. My child would never be a normal child. Then one of the doctors on her team kind of were telling me about the trial drug here in Seattle.
It turns out that the pathologist at the hospital where Aliyanna was being treated had collaborated with our pathologist here in Seattle to develop diagnostic techniques. Aliyanna came to Seattle Children's to start on a new drug called larotrectinib. At the time, this study was only available as part of a clinical trial. It's a type of precise therapy that goes after the root cause of the cancer. She was the smallest child ever treated with this medication. She weighed 2.6 kilograms.
When I was in Oregon, I didn't feel like a mom. As soon as we got to Seattle, got to hold her, change her, bathe her. Seattle Children's is the best hospital that I could have chosen for my daughter. I think it was the first month of being on the drug, we could see that her back was closing completely. She had more life in her. She was always smiling.
When we repeated an MRI, the mass that we could see that was in her lower back and around the nerves going down to her legs, the mass had shrunk dramatically. Today, she's doing wonderfully. She continues to take the medicine, and we have no sign that the cancer is coming back.
And I feel like if it wasn't for this clinical trial drug, I wouldn't have my daughter today. So getting to see her grow up it's a miracle.
There are very few children's hospitals that have as many investigational trials as we do. We simply couldn't do the work of cancer clinical trials without the support of philanthropy. It is absolutely essential to the work we do.
The things that the donors are doing, it's giving mothers and families hope. She could have given up at any point in her life, but she chose to continue to fight and is continuing to fight today.